Hello and welcome to this next video in this vlog series. Last week we focused on a couple of different points through the training week. That was week 3 of the base cycle, and continuing on with the weight training we've been doing whilst introducing some cardio. And that was the 2 cardio sessions we're doing is 1 HIIT session and then 1 slow steady state session as well. But like taking it way back, I'm aiming to keep my heart rate in training zone 2, and at the moment it's only about a 5k run, so it's just really sort of low level and aiming just to build that up over the next few weeks. Throughout the duration of the base cycle, I'll be building up the distance and the speed that I'm doing whilst keeping my heart rate in training zone 2. So the cardio is just very little at the moment. The main focus is still on weight training at this point in the base cycle. What else did we look at? Looked at some stretching again, introduced some other stretches that I have. So I've got quite a big stretch routine that I do at least twice a week. And we had looked at previously in other videos, we had looked at the couch stretch, looked at the weighted butterfly stretch, and what else? The stretch known as the best stretch in the world. All 3 of these are really good for releasing tight hips, so hip flexors, abductors, some quads and abdominals as well come into them. So these are 3 big stretches that I do in my routine. I'd recommend all athletes do them, but especially runners, footballers. That's a lot of what I do, and they have really helped me a lot in my sort of speed and agility whilst both running and playing football. The other 2 that I introduced or showed was the hamstring stretch I used the weighted rack as like a post, so the leg that is getting stretched is up against the rack whilst the other leg slowly lowers down to the ground, and you get a good stretch in the hamstring and into the calf muscle that's on the rack. So if you don't have a weighted rack, it's fine, you can use something else. A door frame is also very good. I've used that before. We also looked at the calf stretch using the slant board. Again, you don't need to have a slant board. You could use your foot against the wall, put your toes up against the wall, and you'd get the same effect. But if you can get a slant board, if you've got one already, I find it's so effective for getting deep into all the calf muscle, both calf muscles, soleus, gastrocnemius, but also can help stretch out the Achilles tendon as well, which can also get really tight. So these stretches have been very effective for me, and I'd recommend all of them for athletes. But even if you're not an athlete, even if you're not training for anything, having a good stretch routine like that can help with your mobility and longevity, make your body feel better, less stiff, less sore, especially if you're sitting down a lot of the day. Hip flexors can get tight, the front of the body can get quite tight, core, hip flexors, quads, just from being in that sitting position. We can actually be quite weak at the back, so stretching out your body can really help with that. What else we looked at was a shoulder movement. So it was actually the behind the neck press, which is a bit of a controversial exercise. I really like it. So Ross Edgley talks about this in some of his posts. He talks about it being a favourite of bodybuilders right up until the 80s and being a favourite of Arnold. He also refers to the sports science community believing that it has a greater stimulation of all the deltoid heads than the front shoulder press. Now, the front shoulder press is obviously still a good exercise. Now, the reason that it's controversial is because you can put weight onto the back of your neck. Now, so that depends on your strength and mobility, really. As long as you have good shoulder mobility and strength, as long as you have thoracic spine mobility and good core stability, then exercise is absolutely fine. But if you don't have any of those, especially if you have poor shoulder mobility, or if you're trying to push too heavy a weight, then you can injure your shoulder, especially into the rotator cuffs. So therefore it wouldn't be recommended in those situations. So if you've got all 3, what we just talked about, so good shoulder stability and mobility, okay, thoracic spine mobility and core stability, if you've got all of that, then the exercise is a good exercise to do. Again, only lift to what weight feels appropriate. Don't try and push too heavy on that one, but it can be a great exercise for stimulating all the deltoid heads. So looking forward, we're now into the start of week 4 out of 12 for the base cycle and things. It's kind of a sort of transition week. Not a lot is changing this week, but I'm planning for sort of the next 8 weeks. So basically the final 8 weeks of the base cycle, I'm going to be changing up the weight routine quite a bit. The emphasis really is still going to be on strength condition at this point, but I'm going to totally change the weight routine that I'm doing. So there'll be some other exercise videos that we'll look at going forward. I'm going to change my diet as well, because over the next sort of 8 weeks, well after this week, so the next 8 weeks on forward, I want to trim off a little bit of body fat, just kind of coming into for the challenge for next year. I know I've not talked a lot about that yet. I keep saying the challenge for next year. There's just a couple of points that haven't been confirmed yet, so I was just hoping to wait to get all the points confirmed before I talked about it more. I'm not trying to be mysterious around it, but I don't know, I'll maybe talk about it more soon if these points aren't quite confirmed yet. But yeah, basically I want to build my athletic base. I'm going to be building my heart rate zone capability. So a little bit of cardio, so that's going to be building up over the next 8 weeks. I'm going to be changing my nutrition up a little bit, just so we're trimming a bit of body fat. So coming to the end of the base cycle, I don't really want to be thinking about macros and nutrition too much. I'm just going to, because at the end of this cycle, the intensity volume of training is going to up, and it's really going to be starting to really focus on building athletic capability. So yeah, I'm not going to be trying to trim body fat at that point. I'm going to be eating for performance at that point. So at this point, I just want to trim a little bit of body fat, just so I'm a little bit lighter going into so it'll be not the peak, so it will be the next cycle after the base one, and the build one. That's the word I'm trying to look for. So it goes build then peak. So as we're going into build, I want to just be in as good shape as I can, because beyond that, I'm just going to be focusing on performance, not body shape in any way. So that's what we've got sort of coming up, and we've got to look forward to plenty of different exercise videos to look forward to there, and as I'll be doing more posts like this as well. So yeah, just keep watching, subscribe, because that helps. I mean, the main reason I'm doing this is to help other people to think about, so if you are an athlete, how can you improve your game? Everyone can improve their game wherever they're at. So you could be a beginner, you could be a pro. It's about competing with yourself. How can you be better than you are? And even if you're not an athlete, what can you do differently to help with your health and fitness, longevity? You know, you might not do anything. You might not do any running. You might want to run, but you don't do any running. So if you start building up to doing 2K, 3K, up to 5K, that's improving for you. You might be someone who does 1 5K a week. Could you do 2, 3 5Ks a week? It's all about how can you improve. So this is my message really. I'm documenting what I do, what works for me, to then help you. Okay, so if you subscribe, comment, share, that helps. So I appreciate that. So thank you very much.